So the goal for tonight is we want to identify who is the proper professional, where are they in the process, okay? We want to talk about what is this official, and there is an official roadmap to navigating this bureaucracy, okay? And then we want to make you aware of some key dates in the program. And then we'll help you with your next steps. So first and foremost, we want to be able to establish, and Larry, we're going to go to sound on the next slide, I believe, yes. So who's in charge? 6 cooks in the kitchen? Not going to happen. One guy has got to be able to pull the trigger and guide you. So what I want to do is I'm going to play a short clip of a client in Lindenhurst, and I'm just going to let her speak. There's going to be 2 points that I want you to try to listen to what she's saying. We're going to talk about those 2 points, and this, if we can get this on the lift side of it, you're going to go a long way. And this is really, to be honest, a lot of times this is what is some of the biggest problems that families are faced with. So we have a homeowner. For 2.5 years, she went nowhere. So did anyone pick up that there's 2 important things that she said? Did anyone pick that up? The design professional is the captain of this process. And all of their paperwork, everywhere, it says step number 1 is to engage a design professional. That's it. If you take nothing out of this tonight, you write this down 3 times on a piece of paper. You have to have a competent, let me give you a descriptive, a competent design professional that will lead you through the process. Our clients, we become your caseworker. You don't talk to caseworkers again, period. Put them to the side. Many of them have as much training in the program as you do, and that's just the truth of it. They're not supposed to guide you through the process. They're liaisons. And we kind of asked this question when we were in the back office in Mineola. Really, and we weren't being facetious. Well, what's their role? And it was like, we're a room of 40 architects, and everyone's starting to pull the long knives out, saying, where's the caseworkers? Because they make our job tough. You need to get a check. You need to, very, very limited things, that's where you go. But from here out, when you're elevating, the design professional is the captain of the ship. Okay? On this handout, on page 1, New York Rising Housing Recovery Program, right? Home elevation design guidance. Do we have an extra? I don't know. Oh, okay. I think we might be out. We did run out. But this is information this is New York Rising's documents, right? This is on their home elevation design guidance. And if you go onto there, you can download the PDFs. I'm not giving you any original, which really goes against a lot of my training. I'm giving you nothing original tonight. I'm giving you all their own stuff. But it says step 1. Step 1 is hire a designer. Homeowners must, in bold, work with a licensed design professional. A contractor is not authorized to complete all the forms of the program that they require. That's step 1. Step 8, and we'll see it later, that's when the builders come into play. Now, I am not throwing the builders under the bus. I'm not. It's just everyone has their own separate role to play in the process. If the design professional is the captain and he's got his hand on the tiller and he's able to navigate and know where the rocks are and he knows where the harbor is, where he's got to get you safely, then the builders are in the engine room. And they're the ones cranking the propeller to move the boat once you get everything you need to head in this direction to our goal. Does that make sense? Okay. I didn't say caseworker anywhere in this description. No caseworkers. Don't talk to them. Okay. Now, the design professional has a twofold mission. You need to be good at your trade. You have to be able to do thorough design work. You have to be able to say, what is this foundation plan going to look like? Are we doing helical piles? How are we going to maximize the design for the most amount of budget to enable you to get your project fully funded? You have to be good at that component of it. But that's not enough. And when we were trained, when we went through the training program, they said very specifically, if you're going to take 1 or 2 clients, please don't waste your time. Stop. Don't. Don't waste your time, and don't mess around with the lives of the people that are depending upon you. If you are going to handle these projects, then you must create a scalable system, and you have to be ready to handle larger numbers of people. And so Phil and I, we looked at each other and we said, okay, you know, let's ramp up for this. And we invested, and we scaled up for it. We did what they said. So the second part of it is you have to be able to navigate their system. So if you can't work the clutch and the brake and the gas, and you got multiple pedals, then you should not be you should be driving an automatic. You should not be driving stick. And that's what happens when families engage a design professional that says, I don't want to do anything with New York Rising. I'll do your design documents. That is a colossal mistake. Now there's only 24 high volume design professionals on Long Island. That's it. There's about 24. And they consider a high volume shop someone that has more than 20 clients. Those 24 clients, they account for about 25% of the volume. It means that 75% of the people that are engaged with a design professional is most likely dealing with someone that's doing 1 or 2 at a time. And we pick them up all the time. We just, on the way over here, we stopped off to pick up a set of stamped documents from another engineer's office out of Port Washington that left the family high and dry. She said, I can't get my money, Frank. I said, well, because that's the second part. You have to be able to do this. And if you can't do the second half of it, then it's you know, you're constantly grinding the gears and you're stalling out and you're going nowhere. Does that make sense? This is and let me tell you, this is not a normal experience for an architect. CPAs deal with the IRS, they're good at their trade, they're good at dealing with the bureaucracy. Physicians, they're good at their trade, they're dealing with billing the federal government, right? Attorneys, sometimes in the elder law space, they're good at dealing with their trade and they're good at dealing with the bureaucracy. Architects residential architects never do this. And to boot, they didn't even really, when we trained, they trained us on the process, but when the 6100 form, everyone heard of the 6100 form? So they didn't teach us how to fill the form out. They just said, here's the form, and fill it out and give it back to us. And then we'll give it back to us. No, it's wrong. Do it again. What do you mean it's wrong? Well, how do you fix it? No, you figure it out. That's the truth. That's the truth. You can't make it up. What we did, you know, when we went through this training from New York Rising, one of the instructors, his contract ended at the end of last year. We hired him. We said, we're scaling up. We did a 6100. We got it as best we could, and we gave it to him. We said, on our, second client? Second or third client. We just said, we're not going to mess around with this. Too much riding. Too many people have too much on stake. We got to get it right. Gave it to him. Back, forth. Okay, this is how you do it. We took cash out of our pocket to educate ourselves because New York Rising was not doing it. So, but this is a necessity, and you need to see this from your design professional. You have to see that he's done this. Our job is to minimize your exposure to the bureaucracy. That's really what we want to be able to do for our clients. You know, you don't have to hire us, but you need to see this. You need to verify the registered architect's license, because I have seen, and I'm sure you've seen, some funky stuff. You want to mess around with people? Go do it someplace else. I don't know where you have the right to mess around with. We don't. But people are hurt. And they're going to come in and just take. You know, you want to give them a good shaking. But it's the truth. And so, through this process, we've brought the guy in, had him train us a bit more, correct our mistakes, but then we also have another proprietary bit of software that helps us to move through the process very quickly, very accurately. Okay, so if you're taking notes, these are the two things. When you're hiring a design professional, if you're elevating or you're reconstructing, you have to start, and this is the part that you missed. I'm sorry, your name? If you're starting fresh and you're at the beginning of the process, then you start with a design professional. They have to be through their coursework. Now again, we have families that are living in FEMA trailers still because they started with a design professional that wasn't trained, that didn't know, that couldn't get through, couldn't access the dollars. The monies were misappropriated. She's still sitting in this trailer, but we've got movement on it, right? We've got her 6,100 approved. Her budget jumped about 40%. And we assumed that project. So we're doing a lot of that. We're doing a lot of, my architect did the design documents. He won't touch my 6,100. This lady in Copeg that we just left, the same thing. We've taken the project over and we have started collecting the dollars for her. In my lady in New York, in Patchogue, in the FEMA trailer, it's not New York Rising's fault that she's in this trailer. She just didn't follow, she didn't have the right code to the lock to open it. And that's really the problem. So I'm not absolving New York Rising of some of the nonsense, but in her particular case, it's just, you know, if it's a 4-combination lock and you put 3 combinations in, no matter how much you yell at it, pull at it, kick on it, curse at it, it's not going to open unless you get the 4th in. And we've had people come to these, you know, who was at Belmore last night? Right, yeah. So we had a guy in East Rockaway, first guy comes to the table and he sits down and he goes, I don't need to do any of this. Why do I need this? Well, because they said you need it. Yeah, but I don't want to do it. Good luck with that, pal. You're going to go nowhere. You have to dance to their tune. It's their game, it's their field, it's their ball, it's their rules. The rules change. They have the discretion to do that. So we have to just figure this out, right? So I don't want you to, and this is the next page in your handout, and it's not for you to understand per se, but I don't want you to get stuck in the weeds. I just want you to get a feel for the process. So again, there is a specific order and flow that will unlock this deal. And it's what we call the ABCs. So if we start at the top left of your paper, the first half, this is the analysis phase, A. You sign contract with your design professional. You review all of your paperwork. You're going to collect your AA, your ECR, your elevation ECR. You're going to grab all the papers, there's the stacks of papers that New York Rising gave you. You're going to turn that over to your architect. You're going to collect your test bore. You're going to get your survey. You're going to get your elevation certificate before. You're going to get all those investigative services. You're going to collect all of this. Those 4 things, your architect, your test bore, your survey, and your elevation, those are all reimbursables by the program. The investigative services, those receipts go into your 6,100 form. You pay out of pocket to bring the land surveyor, the test bore, whomever. That's out of pocket expense, and you are reimbursed. The architect's fee, and we'll talk about that, is direct correlation, 100%, 10%. It is 10% of your award. And as your award grows, that 10% fee grows with it. It's a line item. It's established. And this is one of the key questions when you're interviewing a design professional. What are your fees? And if they tell you anything other than 10% of your award, they tell you it's $3,500, you run away from that person because he doesn't understand. It's always 10%. Right? Does that make sense? So, with that said, New York Rising will cut a check. If you were a mandatory lift, your design fee is going to be in with that first half. On an optional lift, as soon as you opt in, that 10% fee then that's the flag to release it. Then at some point, and we're seeing 90 days, 3-4 months, thereabouts, so somewhere in there, we're seeing that the checks start to come back in to reimburse you for work that's done. Does that make sense? So this is a long ball pass, and there's some short yardage problems. They're just you got to get here. They're eventually going to fund you, but it's just this to get to it. Let's see. Okay. The next section. So we went from A, analysis. Now we're down here in the second section, the bottom left-hand corner. That's B for budgeting. This is where this 6100 form comes into play. The architect, now that he has his elevation certificate, the survey, the test bore, we now do a set of conceptual design documents. Those design documents then, what happens now, after we put that to paper, we then start counting every little Simpson tie and lumber and cubic yard of concrete and anchor bolts and whatever it is, the widgets that will collectively comprise your project goes into this 6100 form. See, what they knew when they came to your house and they said, where's the mud level? Right here? You've got to go about 3 feet. They took a 4-inch paintbrush and they basically threw a number at your project. They know it's not right. That number is ridiculously low. You got a $40,000 award and I have to lift my house and I'm hearing numbers of 6 figures. What am I going to do with $40,000? That's not the budget. That's the guesstimate budget. 4-inch brush. You don't trim out your ceiling. We wouldn't trim out this beautiful arch with the 4-inch brush. We get something detailed and do it. Right? Does that make sense? But that was just to get you started. So who's mandatory lift? Okay, mandatory lift. So they gave you your half-year award that came in, and that covered you to get you started. The architect's job now, and this happens also on the optional, is to establish what is the real budget. Do you have a special need? Do you require an elevator? Well, there's an extra $25,000 for that. Do you have site conditions that you need helical piles or whatnot? An extra $25,000, $30,000, right? So extra dollars. And then we need 127 of these. And we don't put the numbers in this 6100 in terms of dollars and cents. There's no financial dollars. We count them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? We count the widgets. We need 57 of these. We need 137 of those. And we put that in. That goes in the spreadsheet. So construction documents, spreadsheet which counts numbers of items. That goes in, and that reestablishes your budget. So A is analysis, B is budgeting, and it happens here in this section. Does that make sense? Now, you can submit multiple 6100s before you break ground. Do a set of documents, you have your budget established, you're about to engage with your builder, and the builder says, hey guys, you know what, we didn't think about whatever, sewer connection, or something that we missed. Okay, we'll do another 6100, we'll resubmit it. That 6100, all that is their way of reconciling what they're